All right, so UFC Fight Night, Tsarukyan versus Hooker goes down this weekend at Doha, Qatar. I don't know how to spell or pronounce the name of the location they're fighting at, but it's on the title of this video. You know where it is. You know what it is. Maybe you can correct me or guide me on the pronunciation in the comment section down below. But I'm gonna give you all my breakdown and prediction for the main card of this fight night. Pay-per-view almost came to my mind, but Arman Tsarukyan is back for the first time in what is almost 2 years, taking on Dan Hooker, who also hasn't fought in a while. You got Belal Muhammad taking on Ian, the future Garry. Volkan Oezdemir, Alonzo Menifield, Jack Hermansson going to welterweight. And then we got Sergey Spivak versus Shamil the Blob Gaziev. Oh, they tricked me with the main card placement. I thought. Oh, Kyoji Horiguchi is on this card. I thought Alex Perez was on the main card. I saw this on Verdict, but I guess I'll start with this. I was totally not prepared, and I feel tricked and trapped. But I mean, Kyoji Horiguchi has made a pretty good career for himself, like outside of the UFC. And I know that he only had one loss in the UFC. That was to Demetrius Johnson. I mean, he might have had another one on his way out of the UFC, but he's back. Because I know the UFC, they're looking for a fresh contender for Alexandre Pantoja. And assuming he beats Joshua Van, I mean, he's pretty much cleaned out the division. And I think Kyoji Horiguchi would be the next best opponent they could give him. I'm pretty sure Kyoji Horiguchi is a former champ, flyweight champ of Risen. I think he had the Bellator title at one point as well, but whatever. I'm going to pick him to win off default because I know nothing about the other guy. Again, I was prepared to talk about Alex Perez versus Asu Almabayev. Why did UFC.com not put that on here? $1 million company, and they can't even get their main card order correctly, which makes YouTubers like myself look dumb, because then what if Tagir ends up winning? And then I look stupid because I didn't actually know what the hell I was talking about. But anyway, moving up the card. Hold on. Okay, that's the main card. Okay, whatever. Sergey Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev. This one's interesting because I feel like it's kind of a winnable fight for both. I don't highly rate either guy. But then again, Shamil Gaziev only has one loss in the UFC, and that was to Jairzinho Rosenstrike, who's not in the UFC anymore. And I think it was a corner stoppage or something, or a doctor stoppage. He has obviously a clear striking advantage over Spivak and a power advantage, but Spivak has the grappling, wrestling advantage. He's very dangerous on the ground, high level Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Oh no, the last guy to beat him was Jailton Almeida. I was gonna say maybe it was Cyril Gane, but no, it was Almeida, who just had a recent loss where he just held down Volkov and did nothing. But I don't want to say it's a bad loss. Jailton Almeida is still an elite fighter and is still very good. He has potential. He just needs to learn that you can't win fights by holding people down and doing nothing. You got to be active to make it count. But he was doing very good against Jailton Almeida. I mean, he didn't do good against Cyril Gane, who whooped his ass back in France a couple years ago, but he did very well against Jailton Almeida. I picked Almeida to win, but in the middle of the fight, I thought Almeida might have been cooked because he was struggling in the grappling, and I'm like, okay, if his grappling isn't working, and neither guy are really that great on the feet, Spivak might have a chance, and out of nowhere, Spivak got chinned. So I don't know. I mean, if Almeida's chinning you, I could see Shamil chinning him. I feel like this fight will just kind of depend on how good Gaziev's takedown defense is. I mean, he's got 83% takedown defense. I mean, that doesn't mean that, Spivak still can't take him down. I'm going to go with Sergey Spivak. He just has more experience against elite competition, tougher opponents. The one time that Gaziev faced someone elite, he basically quit in the fight. And I know Spivak kind of has quit in him as well, but When was the last time Gaziev fought like a high-level grappler? So I can see Spivak going out there, imposing his grappling. Gaziev is so unathletic, it's not even funny. I'm going to say Sergey Spivak wins by submission. Round 2, maybe Gaziev like has a good first round, but Spivak's like able to survive, and then maybe Gaziev, because he's fat, unathletic, probably gets tired and then gets taken down and gets subbed. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Sergey Spivak to win. And then Jack Hermansson versus Orolbai. I have no idea why Jack Hermansson's fighting at welterweight. He was never that small for the middleweight division. He was actually a good-sized middleweight, so he's going to have like a lot of weight to cut. He might be coming in this fight with a size advantage. Both guys are pretty athletic. Jack Hermansson is a well-rounded fighter. He's a good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu, pretty good striking, but his issue is he folds really easily under pressure, is not comfortable eating big shots, and he's been very inconsistent since Jared Cannonier beat him in 2019. Before, he was like on this win streak, and then Cannonier beat him, and then it's been win-loss, 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 win-loss. The common pattern with Jack Hermansson is he loses and then he wins his next fight after he loses. So I could say this is where Jack Hermansson wins. But man, Orolbai has had a way better UFC career than Jack Hermansson. He's less experienced, but other than like that one loss he has in the UFC by split decision, his UFC career has pretty much been perfect and untouched other than that split decision. I don't think he's like ever been finished before. Let me just double check if he's ever been finished. Nope, only lost by a decision. So I don't see Jack Hermansson subbing him or TKOing him. Jack is coming off a brutal knockout loss to Gregory Rodriguez. And now he's got to cut extra weight to 170. I don't know how that's gonna, I don't know how his chin's gonna, I don't know how his body's gonna react to this drastic weight cut. It could affect his chin even more. So I'm going to go with Orolbai to beat Jack Hermansson. I just think Jack, he's on the older side. He's taken a lot of losses. He's taken a lot of damage in his career. And I don't know, maybe if this was Jack at middleweight in his natural weight class against an unproven middleweight prospect, I might pick him. But this is at welterweight, uncharted territory, so I don't think I can trust him. And I think he's going to lose 2 in a row for the first time in, I don't know when was the last time he was on a 2-fight losing streak, but if it hasn't happened before, I think it's going to happen now. So Orolbai is my pick. I cannot spell or pronounce his first name. Anyway, Volkan Oezdemir versus Alonzo Menifield. I got Volkan Oezdemir winning this fight because I think Menifield is buns. I mean, look, Menifield is very dangerous, very explosive, very athletic. He's always dangerous with that knockout power, and he's got crippling leg kicks, but Volkan Oezdemir has an advantage in grit. I think he's way more durable than Alonzo Menifield. I mean, I don't think either guy is really that elite for the light heavyweight division, but I think Volkan is the more elite of the two. He beat OSP, who chinned Alonzo Menifield. Okay, Alonzo Menifield just recently got knocked out by Carlos Ulberg. I know since then he's like won 2 fights, but still, you're getting knocked out by Ulberg, who, yes, Ulberg is a great fighter, and Ulberg beat Volkan, but Volkan survived and made it a competitive fight. Menifield got smoked in like a minute. And Volkan, like I said, he's got the durability advantage. He also has power. He might be a little bit slower, but I don't really think that's going to matter. I don't think he's going to have a hard time catching Menifield because Menifield is very obvious with his blitzes, with his entries in the pocket. It's very easy to find him. It's very easy to bait him in a brawl. And I think if this fight comes down to a scrap, an old-fashioned scrap, Oezdemir is going to chin him. So, and Oezdemir also has pretty strong leg kicks as well. A better clinch game, so I think Oezdemir gets Menifield out of there. I'm going to say in the first round. I'm going to say they're both going to trade leg kicks. Alonzo's going to be bouncing around the outside trying to feel out the range. Then he's going to get a little bit impatient. He's going to try to overwhelm Volkan Oezdemir. And Volkan is just going to show to be the tougher of the two when it comes down to a war. And Alonzo is going to fold first. That's what I think is going to happen. I just think Alonzo's just not that good. I'm sorry. Now, the co-main event, Belal, remember the name, Muhammad versus Ian Machado, the future Garry. This is a 3-round fight, which is interesting. And honestly, I think the fact that this is a 3-round fight does not benefit Belal Muhammad, because I think over 3 rounds, I think Ian Garry's style is going to be very difficult for Muhammad to go up against. If this was a 5-rounder, I think Belal would have a really good chance, because Belal Muhammad has great cardio. He pushes an intense pace. We've seen Ian Garry slow down late into fights before. He kind of faded against Prates late, although that was short notice, so understandable. But in this fight, in this short 3-round fight, I just think Ian has way too many advantages. I think all Belal really has on him is cardio and wrestling. He's not as good as Ian Garry on the feet. He's not as technical as him. He's not as fast or as athletic as Ian Garry. So I don't think he can strike with Ian. And I think he'll do way worse on the feet against Garry than he did against Jack Della Maddalena, because I think Ian is a better striker than JDM. Maybe JDM has better pure boxing, but Ian Garry has better defense on the feet than JDM. He's way harder to hit, okay? And overall, he's got more versatile striking, better kickboxing than JDM, okay? He's got very solid calf kicks, which I could see him using effectively on Belal Muhammad, slowing him down with kicks to the legs. And every time Belal tries to blitz and close the distance, I just think Ian's going to meet him in the middle with a knee to the body to counter that blitz. And Machado does have very good takedown defense as well, as shown against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Although Shavkat's wrestling obviously is nowhere near as good as Belal's, I still feel like that's a good sign. And Machado is a very good grappler, okay? He's a complete fighter. He's not just a one-dimensional striker. I think he's a better version of Leon Rocky Edwards. And I know it's not saying much because Belal beat Leon Edwards, but Leon still had some moments in that fight. And I think Garry's going to have more than just some moments. I think he'll be able to negate the wrestling of Belal. Okay, JDM was able to in moments when Belal did shoot, even though he mainly prioritized boxing. So if JDM can do it, I think Ian can do it. And again, it's a 3-rounder. I mean, both guys are fast starters. Neither man really starts slow. But in that kind of high-paced fight with both of their styles, and just the fact that I think Ian is just kind of a better mixed martial artist, I'm going to have to go with Ian Garry to win this fight against Belal Muhammad. Okay, he's got the youth advantage as well. He's improving every single fight. He has plot armor. Okay, unless he's fighting Shavkat, this guy's plot armor is real. Belal is older, and I'm not saying like he's just past his prime. He is a late bloomer. He is in his prime. He is still very much really good. But I don't like that this is a 3-round, 50-minute fight. There's just not enough time for Belal to win the game of attrition. And I just don't think he is better stylistically than Ian Garry. So I think Ian is going to win this fight by unanimous decision. I don't see a finish, just because Ian's not that powerful. And I mean, he does have submissions, but I don't see him subbing Belal if this hits the ground. I mean, if he takes Belal down, gets his back, I mean, he couldn't sub MVP, couldn't sub. Didn't he have Prates on the ground in a few moments? Wasn't able to sub him there. Couldn't sub Shavkat, but I mean, that's of course a Shavkat. But Belal has great submission defense, and when it comes to power, Ian doesn't really have that, and Belal is extremely durable. So I just think that Ian is going to get a head start in the striking early, keep that distance, move around the outside, and just pick Belal Muhammad apart, you know? I think maybe Belal might have a very good 3rd round, but I think that might be just a little too late for Belal. If it was a 5-rounder, I might consider picking Belal Muhammad. But yeah, 3 rounds massively benefits Ian Garry. And they don't call, I mean, he doesn't call himself the future for nothing. Like, I do legit think he's the future of the division. And every welterweight champion who loses the belt, as of recent, they usually go on a losing streak. I mean, I know Lawler didn't, but since the Lawler era, Woodley, losing streak, lost his next fight after losing the belt. Usman, same thing. Leon has not won since losing the belt, and it makes a lot of sense to think Belal will lose. Plus, he took a lot of damage in his last fight against JDM, which could have a big effect on him going into this one. So, we'll see. But yeah, Ian's my pick. And then the main event, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan the Hangman Hooker. This is an interesting one. I mean, both guys are coming off long layoffs. It's almost been 2 years, okay? It's been since April 2024 since Arman last fought. It was against Charles Oliveira. That's almost 2 years ago. It's like a year and a half. Hasn't fought since. Was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev, but unfortunately, on the eve of that card, he had to blow out his back at the weigh-in somehow. I guess trying to impress Nina Drama, but ruined what could have been one of the best fights we could have seen Islam involved in his last ever lightweight bout. Instead, we had to settle for him fighting Moicano. And then Dan Hooker was supposed to fight Justin Gaethje a couple months later. But Dan Hooker is a pullout merchant, okay? He has a pattern of show up once a year, get scheduled for another fight, and then pull out. That's what he does. That's the common Dan Hooker pattern. So it makes sense that now he's showing up. He couldn't show up when it was against Gaethje, which could have been one of the best fights of the year. But he can show up for Arman Tsarukyan. He can show up for Gamrot. But I don't think either man is really going to have an advantage over one another when it comes to activity. I think both guys might be affected by ring rust. Dan Hooker, I'm going to say, has a massive advantage on the feet, obviously. A power advantage, a striking advantage. His striking is way more technical. He's got better footwork than Arman Tsarukyan, better kicks than Arman. I mean, this guy is lethal on the feet, okay? Arman does not want to mess with Dan on the feet. Dan has nasty calf kicks, okay? His body kicks are dangerous. He can go high with his kicks and they can hurt. His knees are nasty as well. He's got dangerous knees up the middle. Knees from the Muay Thai plum. His elbows are dangerous. His combination punching is dangerous. And if he can keep enough distance and range from Tsarukyan, doesn't let Tsarukyan get close or work his takedowns, Tsarukyan's going to be cooked. But it's no secret that Arman has a massive advantage on the ground. It's no secret that Arman is a way better wrestler than Dan the Hangman Hooker. And obviously, Arman is going to want to do what got him to the dance. He's going to want to fight to his advantage. Now, for as much credit as I gave Hooker's striking, Arman himself is a good striker. He does have some level of power. He does have a good switch kick to the body, okay? Overall good body kicks, some leg kicks of his own, some high kicks of his own, okay? Decent boxing, but it's too risky, and we know Arman Tsarukyan can get hurt. We've seen Joaquin Silva wobble him, so if Joaquin Silva can hurt him, Dan Hooker can definitely hurt him. Man, Dan Hooker does have good takedown defense, but can he stop Arman Tsarukyan's takedowns? Like, other than when he fought Islam, we've never seen him fight a wrestler to the level of an Arman Tsarukyan. Arman is a very high-level wrestler, very physically strong. I think he's stronger than Dan Hooker by a lot, which I think is going to help him in the clinch wrestling exchanges. So I'm just going to go with Arman Tsarukyan to win this fight. I mean, I've always kind of had him as my initial lean when this fight was booked. Had to do some thinking. But I just don't see a world where Dan Hooker is able to consistently nullify every single takedown of Arman Tsarukyan. That's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen, okay? Maybe he might have a good start to the fight. Maybe early on he might be able to defend some takedowns, land some good shots, land some good leg kicks. But I just think as the fight goes on, I think Arman's going to be able to kind of build his way in the fight, eventually get more takedowns at will. And Dan Hooker does typically slow down. I mean, so does Arman Tsarukyan, actually. But I'm going to say Arman has better cardio than Dan Hooker. And I think Arman can break Hooker with that wrestling pressure. And once Arman gets on top of you, like once he settles into like top control, full guard, half guard, he gets very dangerous with his ground and pound, okay? He's got some nasty elbows. Dan has a lot of scar tissue, so I could see Arman opening up a nasty cut. I'm going to say Arman Tsarukyan's going to win this fight by, I'm going to say round 4 TKO. I think it's going to be competitive throughout the first couple of rounds. I'm going to say Dan might get the first round in striking and defending takedowns early, but Arman's going to stay composed. I think round 2 is going to be closer than the first, but Arman's going to start to catch up. And then I think the third round, Arman is going to start wearing him down with that constant pressure. I think Dan's going to get tired from constantly having to fight off a bunch of takedown attempts of Arman. And in the fourth round, I see Dan being completely like fatigued and Arman just grinding him down, breaking his will, and then eventually fully settling into top position. Because I think early on, it's going to be Dan's going to be like fighting his way back up constantly on his hands and knees, getting kneed in the thighs. I don't think Hooker's going to be controlled on his back earlier on in the fight. I think it's going to happen later in the fight when he's completely tired, where it's going to be easier for Arman to like full guard or half guard camp him. So I think Arman is going to be able to posture up the more tired Dan Hooker gets, and he's going to be able to land nasty ground and pound and get the finish and secure his title shot in the lightweight division. But I wouldn't be shocked at the idea of a Dan Hooker getting the upset. I could very well see him winning. This is a dangerous fight for Arman, but I'm going to trust him to win. I think outside of Islam, Arman was the second best in the division, and now I think outside of Ilya, Arman is still the second best, although I do think Max Holloway could beat him. But that's yet to be decided. We got to see that fight first. But that's it for my breakdown and predictions for UFC Qatar. Let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe, and peace out.